First, I would like to say that whatever I have learned, whatever I say, I have learned it in your country, in India, and my gratefulness goes to Mother India, to this wonderful country which adopted me and which I have adopted. So I am no great scholar. Whatever scholarship I have learned it here at the feet of Mother India. Now, of course, the title of the conference is absolutely apt and correct. But what I would like to add is what's more important to me is dismantling Western Indology. So what's important to me is dismantling Western Indology. The greatest culprits in this story are Western Indologies. In fact, the brain behind this dismantling Hindutva conference is a Frenchman called Christophe Jaffrelot. Now, Christophe Jaffrelot has been the leader of Indology in France for the last 25 years and my personal enemy. And he has written a number of books on dismantling Hindutva. Actually, apart from his hate for Mr. Modi and the BJP and Hindus, he has written 2-3 books on the fact that Hindutva is funded by Hindus abroad, particularly in the United States. And it's necessary to dismantle this network, this nexus. So I believe that, and he is very closely associated with Stanford University and Princeton, which have published his book. So he's the brain behind this conference. Now, Mr. Jaffrelot is funded by the French government, actually. He belongs to an organization called CNRS, which means National Center of Research and Scientific Research, which is funded by the French government. So the funny thing is that the French government pays Mr. Jaffrelot to enlighten the French people about India, which is a very far away and very difficult country for French people to understand. And what Mr. Jaffrelot does, not only Mr. Jaffrelot, but Mr. Witzel and Mrs. Doniger in the United States, and in Sweden, in Norway, in England, there are different Indologists who are hostile to India. So what Mr. Jaffrelot does is that he brings down India by talking about Hindu fundamentalism, Hindu Taliban, of course, Hindutva, caste. Mr. Modi, his latest book is about Mr. Modi being a danger to democracy in India, and particularly he targets Hindus. Now, the funny thing is that, as I said, the French government is sponsoring him. And I have been fighting Mr. Jaffrelot for 25 years, but every time something happens, elections in India, some catastrophe, Mr. Modi coming to power, Godhra, newspapers and television call Mr. Jaffrelot because it's like a circle. They all feed each other. So it's very difficult for people like me who have been for 25, 30 years trying to defend the Hindus, trying to defend India, trying to promote India as an economic destination for the West, and for the French in particular, to say that, India is a democracy contrary to China. India is a place of tolerance. Every persecuted minority has found place in India. Mr. Jaffrelot is there all the time, and he says the opposite. Now, I would like to quote another French Indologist. He's Indian, actually, but he lived in France. He speaks French fluently. His name is Sanjay Subramaniam. He teaches not only at the prestigious Collège de France, which is a very up university in Paris, but he's also associated with many American universities like UCLA. Now, Mr. Sanjay Subramaniam has also been running down Mr. Modi, Hindus. I recently saw an article of him where he criticizes Mr. Modi, the BJP, and Hindus. The funny thing is that not only, of course, he's also funded by the French government, but he's the brother of India's external minister, Mr. Jaishankar. Nobody knows that one of the bitter enemies of Mr. Modi and the BJP and Hindus in France, who is an Indian himself, so being an Indian, he gets even more credit than Mr. Jaffrelot, is the brother of Mr. Jaishankar, who is India's external affairs minister. I mean, this is an absolutely crazy thing. So, recently, I met the new education minister in India, and I told him that there is an entire nexus of hostile Indologists in European and American countries. So we need to bring up, younger generation of Indologists, bring them to India, give them some grounding in Sanskrit, in spirituality. What is the puja? What is the temple? Who are the Hindus? What is the history of India? And then send them back to the West so that in time, they supersede the Jaffrelot and the Subramaniams. Oh, he's the fourth education minister to whom I said that, from Smriti Irani to Mr. Javadekar to the present one, Mr. Pokhriyal, or Mr. Pradhan. He's the fourth person to have said, the problem is that Western ideologists are feeding wrong information to the people because they're the one who are the newspapers, they're the one who are on the TVs, they're the one who organize conferences like the dismantling of Hindutva. So you need to tackle this problem. Mr. Jaffrelot, he's on the board of Ashoka University. I don't know. I told the previous education minister that he was on the board of Ashoka University. I don't know if he was removed or not. I don't think he's been removed. He's on the board of Ashoka University. Every time he's invited to India, he goes to JNU, he writes an article in Indian Express, the Indian government gives him visa. The Chinese would have long ago refused visa or kicked him out. But this man, who's the brother, who's the other colleague, the brother of the External Affairs Minister of India, is invited India, he gets visas to come to India, he slanders India, he slanders Hindus. I've been fighting him for 25 years, but I'm helpless. I mean, I'm a one-man army, What can I do? If the French government sponsors him, he comes to India, there's an office of the CNRS in the French embassy in Delhi. The French embassy invites him. Oh, this guy is, nobody can bypass him. And they've been within the rank, the people who wanted to say something else about India, but he throttled them, he brought them down. So he's a monopoly. And I mean, for 35 years in the CNRS, there have been Indologists who have been hostile to India before Mr. Modi, even when the Congress was in power. Talking about Hindu fanatism, talking about the Taliban mindset of the RSS, and so we are helpless. Unless the Indian government, the power is with the Indian government, the power is with Mr. Modi. He only has the power to say, okay, let us do something about Indology, Western Indology. Since Max Muller, Max Muller may have been a great guy, but since Max Muller who believed that after all, Christianity was the democratic and the civilized manner. That, okay, Hindus may have good Sanskrit, but ultimately Max Muller remained a Christian, or Macaulay before him. So these people are the forefathers of a hostile, subtle Western Indology, which studies Indian temples, Sanskrit, but in fact brings down India. The problem with these Westerners is that they do not want to be identified with the subject they're studying. So they're saying, okay, we will study Sanskrit, but how can you study Sanskrit unless, you go to temples, you see what the puja is, you meet the pandits, you cannot. But these people want to separate it. They say, okay, we study Sanskrit, but, we don't want to associate it with Hinduism. Hinduism is dirty. Sanskrit is separate. This is going on from the British times. It's a legacy of the British people. And that is today alive in France, in Sweden, in United States, in England, everywhere. So unless we tackle the evil of Western Indology, we will never win. We will never win that war. And the ball is in the Indian government side. They only can do it. And I must say, because I think my time is running out, I must say, and I have said it again and again and again, that Hindus are 1.2 billion in the world, one of the most civilized, intelligent, educated, affluent community, in the entire planet, but they're so disunited. This conference could not happen, if Hindus in the United States would just tackle these people. Just tackle these people, all these Hindus who are participating in that, forget about the Muslims, forget about Jaffrelot, but all these Hindus professors in American universities who are spitting on their country, spitting on their prime minister, spitting on their people, they should be tackled. I'm sorry, I mean, we don't have to do like the Muslims, and kill them or, throttle them or, bring down planes on them, but some kind of physical confrontation is necessary. Unless the Hindus come out of their comfort zone, and this conference is also a comfort zone, we are there online, and, but unless Hindus are willing to go down in the streets and confront physically these people who are spitting on this wonderful country, this wonderful civilization, this wonderful spirituality, it'll go on. The Jaffrelot and the Donegard and the Witzel of the world know that they can't say anything because the Hindus will never retaliate. They're safe. They wouldn't say anything about the Muslim, about Mohammed, because they know that they'll be killed, they and their families and their people. But Hindus, It's a safe bet because the Hindus will never retaliate in any way, even in a peaceful, ahimsa kind of dharna, where you sit in the front of these people's house, and don't let them come out of their house because they are traitors. They're traitors to their religion, to their people, to their nation, to their prime minister. So, as a Frenchman, a non-Hindu Catholic, born, I am offended by, not only by the Jaffrelot, but also how Hindus are letting themselves be belittled, slandered, it's a shame. It's a shame, really. It's a shame. So my thing is that unless you tackle Western Indology, which is at the root of this matter, it is leftist, it is supported by Islamists, but it's Western Indology. These are Indologists, who are sponsored by the governments to enlighten people about India. These are real, real snakes. Once I remember when I started fighting against the CNRS of the organization that sponsored Mr. Jaffrelot, I had a great friend, a yogi, who told me, a Frenchman, who told me, "Oh, you are very courageous because this is like a fortress," and it is a fortress. It is a fortress, but a fortress can be brought down. So this conference is no use unless we tackle these people physically. Unless we go to, unless the youth, the youth of India, the Hindus, in the United States, have the courage to come out of their comfort home, of the universities, and go and confront these people. Go and confront them. Okay, now it is online, but these people can be found. Their addresses can be found. Their emails can be found. They have to be tackled. You can flood their emails. You can call them on their mobiles. There are so many ways that you can tackle these people that next time they will think twice before doing a conference like that. At the time when the Taliban came to power, to compare, the RSS to the Taliban, RSS are, harmless. All these fadis, I mean, when I came as a journalist, I thought, oh, RSS is very dangerous. And then I met them in Delhi and in Nagpur, and I saw these, in that time, these old guys, in their brown long shorts, and white shirts, and I thought, they're just old fadis that is. No, they're just harmless people. So to compare at the time of the Taliban takeover, the RSS and the Hindus to Taliban is a crime. I'm sorry, it is no laughing matter. It's a crime, and unless the Hindus and the Hindu youth in particular do something about it, it's hopeless, man. It's hopeless, I mean, we can do 1 million conferences, but it's hopeless. And the Jaffrelot and the Witzel and the Doniger will go on because they know that they can say anything, even if it is utter rubbish, if it is criminally rubbish, they can say anything because Hindus just take it lying down. They just take it lying down. Namaste.